What is up, college football fans? What is up, Clemson Tiger fans? Happy Sunday to everybody. It's a beautiful day here in Summerville, South Carolina. A little bit overcast, but it's still beautiful. Of course, every day above ground is a beautiful day as far as I'm concerned. And as always, it's a beautiful day to be a Clemson Tiger. Last night was a shit show in more ways than one. Obviously, it was a shit show on the football field, and that's what this video is about. But it's also a shit show because, for 5 years I've been doing these YouTube videos and live streams, and I have live streamed virtually every Clemson game for the past 5 years. So I was doing the same thing last night. At halftime, my Wi-Fi goes down, so I can't stream the game. I can't watch the game. I had to shut the stream down. Then I spend the next 45 minutes or so, virtually the entire third quarter, 3/4 of the third quarter, trying to get my internet back up and running so I can watch the game and so I can, fire the stream back up. Anyway, I missed almost the entire third quarter, which is probably a good thing based on the way that they looked. But yeah, it was a shit show in a lot of different ways. Got the Wi-Fi thing figured out, thank God. So I'm back on track there. But, after the Georgia Tech game, I came on, if you're familiar with this State of the Fan address series that I do, I came on after that. I was calling to bench DJ. I was tired of the DJ experiment. I was hard on, I was about to say Tony Elliott, yeah, PTSD. Hard on Brandon Streeter after that game. And of course, people were telling me, Pete, you're overreacting. This is a major overreaction. It's game one. You got a new staff in here. Give it some time. They'll get better as the season goes on. We won't see some of these problems later in the year. And so, I don't like to stick myself in an echo chamber. I mean, I know what I'm seeing and I know what I've been watching. And so I have to consider my own eyeballs and brain in the conversation, but I don't like to live in an echo chamber, and that's not just on football-related topics, but in life in general. So I said, you know what? Maybe I am overreacting. Let's let the season play out. Let's see if there's an improvement. Let's see if DJ plays better. Let's see what happens. Maybe the offense can evolve. The receivers were playing bad early in the year with a lot of drops, and that's not DJ's fault. Blah blah blah. So there was somewhat of an improvement, right, over the next few weeks, but still somehow, even though they were playing better, they were allowing teams that have no business being in the game with them on the scoreboard hanging in these games. And so I feel like this video right here today has been 10 weeks in the making. And I don't want to do the whole I told you so thing because it doesn't really serve any purpose to do that. But I told you so. Now, I mean, something's got to give because the offense is regressing. We heard some things from Brandon Streeter during the offseason that were encouraging, I guess you would say, but he hasn't really lived up to what he said. A couple of things that he said. He said, number one, we're going to get back to playing faster. And by playing faster, he means running more plays, more up-tempo, like they used to do, years ago. And they've done that from here to there, but not consistently enough, at least as far as I'm concerned. The other thing he said he was going to do was get the tight ends involved and utilize the middle of the field more. Now, they have done that. Look, if you go look at the majority of the games that were Clemson, not even games, because they haven't really put 4 quarters together where they look good, but times in games where they've played their best is when they were utilizing Allen and Beringstool. Did Beringstool even get a target? Did they even throw him the ball last night? I don't know. I missed almost the whole third quarter, so I don't know. I'm not sure they did. But anyway, whenever they're doing that, that's when they're at their best. But they're not doing that. And when the season ended last year and Tony Elliott went to Virginia, off the heels of the worst Clemson offense in over a decade in 2021. I got kind of excited. Now, I'm a big Tony Elliott fan. Everything he's done for Clemson can never be taken away from him. But in this sport, college football, you have to evolve. The teams that don't evolve fall behind. And so I thought this was an excellent opportunity in the offseason to go out and get a different offensive mind, a different philosophy from the outside, instead of regurgitating the same philosophy that we had with Tony Elliott. Brandon Streeter's been on this staff for a while, and there's not really a whole lot of difference between what Elliott was doing and what Streeter's doing. There's little things here and there. But aside from just the Streeter hire, I think that Dabo really missed on that. Then he goes out and gets C.J. Spiller, a guy who's never coached before. Is C.J. Spiller an all-time great Clemson player? Is he an all-time great college football player? Yeah. Does that mean he's going to be a great coach? I don't know. Not necessarily. Promote everybody from within, right? Promote Streeter from within. Promote Grisham from within. Surround yourself with your buddies. That's not a formula for success in the long run. So it'll be interesting to see, because Dabo Swinney made the comment after the game last night that in his 14 years of coaching, this is the most disappointing day of his career. So if that's true, then what are you going to do about it? Because it's your fault that you're disappointed. Hard decisions are going to have to be made. There is zero reason why a team with the roster that Clemson has in 2022 should be struggling against mediocre ACC teams and getting blown off the field by a three-loss Notre Dame team. And by the way, real quick, I do want to say, I forgot to mention at the top of the video here, congratulations to the Irish. All right, first and foremost, look, did Clemson play good? No, but the Irish came out there with a game plan. They wanted to win more. They were the better team. Clemson got outplayed and outcoached. Period, end of story. By a first-year head coach in Marcus Freeman. That's what happened. So congratulations to them. It's a big win. I don't remember the last time that they had a top 5 win like that. I know it's been a long time. So the fans have been waiting for it for a long time. I'm happy for them, even though it was at the expense of my Tigers. They deserve all the credit in the world. But anyway, some hard decisions need to be made. And I don't know, man. Dabo Swinney, he's evolved into, I don't know, he's barely recognizable from the coach that he was 10 years ago, or even 6 years ago. I mean, he shows the ability to, I mean, he preaches the right thing, right? He'll say the best players play, the best coaches coach. You know, he's a no-nonsense type of guy when it comes to that. But then he goes out and hires his friends as coordinators. And then, you know, when it comes down to the come down, you know, he benched Kelly Bryant, who was undefeated that year, for Trevor Lawrence because he said Trevor Lawrence was the better option. And I believed him. And that led to a national championship win. That's some serious coaching right there. So then last week, he benches DJ, who's playing terrible. Last game against Syracuse was probably DJ's worst game of his career. And that's after coming off of having a pretty damn good season. I believe going into the Syracuse game, DJ had like 18 touchdowns and 1 interception. And then he fell apart in Syracuse. I don't know what that was about. And it's carried over into last night after a bye week. So what does Dabo Swinney do? He benches him again. And I'm like, okay. So is this finally like the changing of the guard that we've all kind of like been wondering if it's going to happen or not? One series later, after a turnover, DJ's back in there again. So we're doing a quarterback hokey pokey now. Look, Anytime you see players, quarterbacks in particular, getting benched and bringing in a backup to replace him, and then you're going back to the guy who you benched because he wasn't playing good immediately after, you are in a bad situation then. Look, if you're going to make the decision, and I applaud Dabo for making the decision to bench DJ when he's not playing good, you got to stick with that. Would it have mattered at the end of the day? Probably not. Like I said a minute ago, Notre Dame was the better team. I don't think whether Cade stayed in there or not, it would have really affected the outcome of the game. It might have affected the scoreboard a little bit, but not the outcome of the game. But there's really no excuse, again, for the product that we saw last night, and something's got to change. So what are the hard decisions that are going to be made, right? This staff, offensively, it just ain't it. They're very young and very inexperienced. And so I imagine Dabo Sweeney's response to that would be, well, you got to get experience, and so that's what they're doing now. All right, on the backs of what? So are we supposed to sit around for 3 or 4 years to let these guys get experience and then criticize them if they're no good? No. You got to get this fixed now, bro. It's unacceptable. And look, next year is not going to be any cupcake. We're losing a lot, particularly on defense. I know I've been talking about offense this whole time because the defense has been carrying this football team for the vast majority of the year. And did they play great last night? No, they couldn't stop the run. That's a whole other issue that I didn't see coming. And I don't think anybody really saw it coming. We know that Notre Dame's strength is running the football. Their passing game is virtually non-existent. So they're a one-dimensional football team, and you can't even stop that one dimension. So, but what are you supposed to do if you're the defensive player for Clemson? I mean, you're on the field 3/4 of the game because your offense can't get a first down. So eventually your defense gets worn out, especially when you just, take it on the chin, runs up the middle. How many runs up the middle did Notre Dame do on Clemson last night? 30? And they were probably averaging close to 4 yards per carry doing it. So, yeah, at this point, the playoff conversation, first of all, there shouldn't be a playoff conversation when Clemson's naming it anymore. I think they had earned through their resume that 4th spot in the first playoff ranking. Well, they also earned not to be considered to be a playoff team last night. It's one thing to lose on the road in a primetime game. It's a whole other thing to get blown off the field. The playoff committee doesn't look kindly upon it. And I know I was getting some texts from some people last night. Hey, Pete, you're still alive, man. LSU won, right? I mean, a bunch of the top teams, like TCU, a bunch of top teams, highly ranked teams lost yesterday. So Tennessee, there was 3 or 4 teams. So Clemson's still in the playoff mix because of all those teams' losses. I'm just going to be 100% honest with you because why wouldn't I be? I don't want to see Clemson in the playoffs. Why would I want to see that? I don't want to see them go and get embarrassed. And that's probably what would happen. Sorry. It just is what it is. I'm tired of the sunshine pumping. If Clemson were to play any of these top 3 teams ahead of them right now in a playoff situation, they would get blown out. That's it. So I don't want to see Clemson in the playoffs this year. And they won't be. I don't think they'll be. They might win the ACC. They wrapped up the division yesterday. So they got 3 home games now to finish the season out. They got Louisville at home, which should be an easy win. But I don't know if there's such thing as an easy win in 2022 for the Tigers, so who knows. That should be an easy win. Of course, then they got Miami at home. Looking forward to that game. I'll be there. Anybody else going to that game, hit your boy up. We'll be hanging out. They should beat Miami. Miami's in a bad way right now, too, obviously. Got blown out by Florida State. And finish off the season at home against the Gamecocks. Man, the Gamecocks are going to be loud. And they should be. Right? They're having a better season than most people expected. Well, at least than I expected. And Clemson's having a worse season than most people expected, including me. So they're going to look in there with, look, South Carolina, they got nothing to play with. They're not playing for division title. They're not playing for conference title, obviously. They're not in any playoff hunt. South Carolina's looking to come in there and end this streak. I guarantee it. And right now, they're sitting over there going, what's going over there on Clemson? Yeah, they're licking their chops. So, anyway, best case scenario, Clemson ends up finishing out the season strong with 3 wins, gets an Orange Bowl bid, and plays somebody, who knows, from the Big Ten. That's the most likely scenario, which would be just fine with me. Let's get this season over with, Jack. We're going to move on to next season. Although next season, well, we'll wait till next season for me to be negative about that. Oh, man. All right, guys. I'm done rambling for today. I'll see you tomorrow. Well, normally I come on at 11 a.m. for the midday show. I have some contractors coming to the house tomorrow morning, so it might be more like 12 o'clock instead of 11 o'clock. But either way, I'll be on tomorrow morning or early afternoon in some capacity. I'll see you then. Your boy, checking out.